The Road Traffic Management Corporation says it is investigating 820 cases of the fraudulent issuing of learner and driver's licenses, roadworthy certificates and vehicle licenses, among others. Now, 116 of those have since been arrested by the Hawks. And this follows a probe by the Special Investigating Unit in attempts to curb the rampant corruption facing driver's license testing centres as well as other sections of the Transport Department. The unit has until the 31st of March 2023 to complete its investigations and also table a final report. The RTMC, SIU and Transport Minister Fikile Mbalula briefed the media yesterday in Pretoria on the measures taken to fight corruption within the department and the road traffic entities. For more on this, we are joined now by SIU spokesperson Kaiser Kganyago. Mr. Kganyago, thanks for your time. Welcome to Morning Live.
Good morning, Sakina, and good morning to the Morning Live viewers.
For those who may have missed it, if we could just start with an overview of the progress of the investigations and also strategies and outcomes thus far.
I think the right place to start is the fact that we were approached in 2017 by the Road Traffic Management Corporation to investigate, and we then did a proclamation that was signed by the President in November of 2017, wherein we were requested to look into, among others, registration and licensing of motor vehicles, registration of ownership, issuing of driver's and learner's license, conversion of foreign driving licenses and military driving licenses, roadworthy certificate and operator's fitness cards. That's where we started with the investigation. And when we did the investigation, we found a lot of discrepancies in what was happening. For an example, the mere fact that there is a backlog and desperate need for driver's license necessitated this fraudulent conduct that we found. And among other things is the issue of driving schools that were involved in bribing officials in the department to make sure that they get what they want. We found that people get driver's licenses or learner's licenses without going through the test itself. Cars are given roadworthiness certificate without even appearing there, and all of those. And so, these are some of the things that we found.
And, you know, just looking and listening to some of the examples that you've quoted there, Mr. Kganyago, the issue with the driving schools, and I remember there was a time where people were writing to us, you know, also anecdotally speaking to some people I know, where it was practically impossible for you to get an appointment for a licensed drivers or learners for that matter, unless you went through a driving school. So how are you dealing with those situations? Because as a citizen, you should have the right to go and book those appointments for yourself without necessarily having to go through a driving school.
No, definitely. That is those are some of the recommendations that we've put, because it was very clear when we were doing the investigation that there is breakdown of systems. People who are not competent are running the e-NATI system. Therefore, they deliberately make sure that they make it in such a way that you cannot, like you're saying, get a date unless you go through the driver's license, the driving schools, because they know that they've got agreements with the driving schools to perform certain things, and then they get kickbacks from there. Therefore, those are the loopholes that we have asked the department and our TMC to close, because if we don't do that, we will not succeed. But secondly, we have identified people that are involved in this thing, and we've made sure that they are taken to book. Because if we do that, we are able to then be in a position to send a message that if you do all of these wrong things, you are not going to really succeed, and we will make sure that we get the money that was lost and from the RTMC and the department and bring it back to them.
So just listening to your media briefing yesterday, it is evident that there's major fraud and corruption that you've already found in a lot of these driver's license testing centers across the country. But just how rife is it? Were you able to actually get a snapshot of how rife this problem is?
It is not even an issue of being rife, Sakina. It was starting to be a standard practice. And that is where it gets very, very messy. And that is why it was important for us to make sure that we deal with this, because the issue of driver's license is one part of it. The other part of it is the issue that relates to tickets that are in the system, where when Sakina's got tickets and cannot renew the disco or the driver's license, they then just dump. They take the tickets, dump them onto an ID number of a deceased person in the system, and re-register Sakina back into the system as if it's registered now, and then those tickets then are dumped there, and the department loses all of that money. And these are some of the things that we found, where there were even collusions with the dealerships, where they go to the dealership and pretend like the car has been sold to the dealership and sold back to them, and then they make sure that those tickets or whatever was owing is then removed from the system. And that became too rampant in all the provinces that we went to.
All the provinces, but your investigation points to Gauteng, Mpumalanga, and the Free State as being the worst offenders. Why is that the case? Were you able to uncover that?
It is purely because a lot of the fraudulent activities that we found in this particular, especially in Gauteng, because most of the people come to Gauteng, but you would know that Mpumalanga, for example, has been one of those for years. That was known to say, if you want the driver's license, go to Mpumalanga. And all of those were then the focus of our investigation. But it doesn't mean it's not happening in all the other provinces.
Mr. Kganyago, so what is the plan in terms of recovering the monies lost, and also just making sure that people are held accountable for all of these transgressions?
We have started the process of consequence management. And to that regard, those that we found who needed to bring back the money, we have signed with them acknowledgement of debt to the value of about 45.7 million. Of that, we have already received about 3.8 million in cash as part of what we do. And then we have also recovered from the vehicles that were imported into the country legally in a joint operation with RTMC, Hawks and SARS. We have netted about 52.7 million rand, and then we have recovered about 375 vehicles, specifically in the Eastern Cape. And then we have referred a total of 190,000 plus licenses to be cancelled because they were obtained illegally, and a total of over 190,000 deceased person license that needs to be cancelled on e-notice. We have done that not so long ago. And then as part of our other work, we have 86 people were arrested in a joint operation with us. And among those that were arrested are about 36 vehicle testing examiners, 10 e-notice officers, 2 DLTC officials, and 3 SABC members who were involved in this thing, and 4 provincial inspectors and 7 private people that were arrested. Therefore, this for us is a clear indication that we are moving to make sure that people understand that we will come after them and make sure that whatever they are doing is not right. You'll remember, I think it was on the 6th of July, where other officials were arrested in Mpumalanga who did almost over 10,000 illicit transactions. And that has cost Mpumalanga government 60 million rand. And all of those things are an indication of consequence management that we want muted to make sure that this thing is kept.
So, Mr. Kganyago, when you talk about 190,000 licenses that will be scrapped, what licenses are those? Are they vehicle disc licenses? Are they driver's licenses, learners? What exactly does that number comprise?
It is driver's licenses that were given to people illegally, and we feel that they must be cancelled, and those people will be deemed to not have driver's licenses.
So, and how will those people who are affected know?
They will be communicated to. That is why we have made that referral to the provincial MECs, because we divided them according to provinces, and it is up to the provincial MECs to make sure that they are cancelled, and once they are cancelled, it has to be communicated to those people. Therefore, that is the job that will be done by the MECs.
Ms. Kganyago, we'll leave it there for today, but thanks so much for speaking to us. SIU spokesperson Mr. Kaiser Kganyago discussing the SIU's investigation at the Department of Transport as well as some of its entities and what they have done to date.